A man by the name of Nicholas Jordan Wagner was kidnapped and detained by authorities in Canada. Why? For political opposition, of course. For political dissent. Let's take a look. A biophysics grad just detained under British Columbia, Canada's Mental Health Act. As he's being held in a psych ward right now. All based on a psychiatrist's opinion after observing him in a cafe. He looked at him and said, "I'm certifying you." I'll walk through what that is. That's all it took. No warrant, no on-scene evaluation, no psych evaluation, no paperwork shown, no chance to comply voluntarily, just because a psychiatrist saw him in a cafe. Meanwhile, the same city has documented drug addicts where one person has been apprehended 79 times and is still on the street. The government can grab a credentialed researcher off the road in 20 minutes, but it can't keep a chronic offender out of the same intersection for more than a week. What a joke. Absolute tyranny in Canada.
And this is Dr. Emery. He's a resident psychiatrist, senior resident. He's on a rotation with the CAR 87. We're part of a program that includes Vancouver Coastal Health and the Vancouver Police. Okay? And what we do is we go to people when there's different reasons that come up. Every case is a little different, and we go to people to see them where they are, especially if there's been issues with trying to find them and talk to them. So in your case, I think you were certified under the Mental Health Act just, I don't know how long ago, but like maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Were you aware of that? Dr. Taylor saw you in a cafe. She didn't certify you. I think you filmed part of it. And then she spoke with your family, got some more information, and you're going to have to turn that off.
So just one sec. What the officer just told me is that you and I can set up a meeting and we can chat then. So why don't we do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not turning the camera off. I have a legal right to keep the camera on. If you don't want to make the appointment now, we can do it at another time. But that's what the officer just asked that we do. So why don't we do that?
So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
I won't attend. I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
So he's certified. He's certified.
I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
Okay.
What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but it's up to the doctor. So if you.
But no, he didn't even give me an eval. He just looked at me and said, "I'm certified, man."
I get that.
Please consider what you're doing, and please think about the fact that I'm more than happy to come in for an appointment. I'm happy to go through and do everything properly. Okay. I've been completely compliant with everything.
Yes, you've been really good with me, Nicholas. But listen, that's his call, and unfortunately, we can't go back on that.
He hasn't talked to me.
You have to get checked out by a doctor.
You're interacting with me at a very regular.
That's typical. Just following orders, sir. Just following orders. We don't think that you will go to the appointment. So we're going to kidnap you and detain you. We will absolutely do all communist actions, typical communist stifling dissent, and we'll use every single act that we can possibly use, including the Mental Health Act. So let's learn about this. The Mental Health Act is the law that sets out the rules for when a person can be kept in the hospital against their will. Give some specifics there. If you've been certified, you may feel scared, confused, or angry, especially if you aren't sure what your rights are. When you're certified, 1, you can't leave the hospital without your doctor's permission, and 2, you can't refuse psychiatric treatment, including medication. So we can take you in, put you in a psych ward, drug you, and kill you if we so desire. That is where things are at in Canada. And that has happened. People are being murdered. And that's a really, really wicked thing. So let's look at a few other things here. What happened prior to his kidnapping? We will be looking at that. One of the things is he was circulating information about how Canada is becoming like China. And for that, this is, of course, that political retaliation. This is a document that's on his Instagram. And I'm just going to go to that document myself, show you some of the headlines of that. We're going to do this first. We're going to play this. This is him delivering either this document or something similar, warning about the authoritarian state that Canada is and that Canada is becoming.
Hi, how's it going?
How can I help you?
I was just trying to get this to the school board. Essentially,
What is it?
I'm just trying to get this to the school board. Essentially, the federal government is implementing.
I can't hear you. Can you speak in the mic?
Yeah, the federal government's implementing a number of different laws. These laws are incredibly authoritarian, and they put children and students in the direct line of fire of federal prosecution. Okay. It's on the back side. You're looking at the wrong side.
Okay.
And so essentially, I've kind of outlined here from like a staff admin standpoint, for you guys to avoid legal liability of like students suing you guys because you guys didn't tell them about these new laws.
Okay.
I've kind of outlined that in this document. It's technically your fiduciary duty as an informed parent or as part of the administration, which forms like a prudent parent for the students while they're at school.
Okay. Okay, I can pass this on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So that was prior to his arrest based on a look in a cafe. This is his Instagram where he says, "Let me the F out of here," so they're not letting him out. And here are some of the things that he's saying in this document. Public alert. China and the corrupt Canadian government are trying to turn Vancouver into a Chinese dictatorship police state. Can anyone really argue with that? No, they can't. So that's why you have to get rid of those people. Carney has committed treason via a secret China police and law enforcement, illegal Chinese police stations in Vancouver, selling Vancouver to China via. So he's outlining a lot of different things. Dictatorship laws that mirror Chinese ones, massive Chinese foreign interference in Canada. So they definitely do not like this. And this guy lays out, I think, a very good outline of kind of communist tactics that they are absolutely implementing, and talks about Soviet Union and some others. So let's listen to him.
What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah.
So this is straight up communist style psychiatric terror happening right next door in Canada. The guy here is Nicholas Wagter, and if you go to his Instagram page, you can see he's a highly educated individual, a degree in medical biophysics, a master's in innovation management, and he recently published a peer-reviewed scientific paper. And here he's polite, composed, and simply asking for basic due process. Instead, Vancouver police and a Car 87 psychiatrist certify him on the spot under the Mental Health Act with no paperwork, no proper evaluation, no chance to attend a voluntary appointment. They're hauling him off to Vancouver General Hospital for involuntary psychiatric assessment, all because he's been publicly criticizing government overreach, foreign influence, and alleged treason. This is exactly how communist regimes have always silenced dissent. In the Soviet Union, they invented sluggish schizophrenia to lock up political dissidents in psychiatric hospitals for years. China does the same thing today with the Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, and anyone questioning the CCP. Cuba still uses psychiatric wards as political prisons. No trial, no evidence, just a doctor and police deciding your thoughts are dangerous and stripping you of your freedom. Western governments are now running the same playbook against their own citizens who refuse to stay silent. It's ideological enforcement under threat of medical incarceration. Canada is sliding into authoritarianism, so y'all better wake up before they come for you next.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really sickening what we are seeing. Here he is inside of his prison cell or psych ward, and he did at least have the ability to post. So we'll go ahead and watch that.
So I had some eggs and stuff for breakfast this morning. Yeah, they didn't put drapes, so I had to tape this up because my window didn't have drapes. And so all night, there's just light beaming into my room. So I couldn't sleep last night, so I demanded that they give me tape and stuff to put on my windows so that I could sleep tonight. I'm like one of the only rooms that has no drapes.
So being held against his will, and people have verified his claims. Not that it matters. People can make claims, and they could be true, they could be false. But I find this interesting. Grok verifies not that we trust AI, but Grok verifies the claim he made in the document. And yeah, that's there's a whole article on it. Carney's Bills Explained, and so it's walking through all of those. So let me see if they're not all here, but so his document is basically verified by those that are looking into further. Oh, there's the claim, walking through each individual claim. RCMP China policing, MOU, second claim, illegal Chinese police stations. Yeah, all those things he had written out in there. So he's got a number of claims, and they're verified. When people search the internet for it, ask Grok or whatever. And so it's, some people are like, well, he said some weird things. Well, does it matter if you say some weird things? There's like a video of him talking about some things that people might find strange, and people are really odd that they seem to be okay with people being held against their will. Unless he was violent, nobody should be held against their will. That's just kind of like the bottom line. Unless he committed a crime, that's kind of like the standard. Should be able to see someone and lock them up. And so we'll close with this lady giving some thoughts about that, which I think is worthwhile to include.
What is the fine line between a brilliant mind trying to wake people up and a mental health crisis? Recently, I posted about Nicholas Jordan Wagter, a Canadian medical biophysics researcher currently held as an involuntary patient at Vancouver General Hospital. The backlash on my last video was kind of intense. People flooded the comment section saying he's completely unstable, pointing out his recent claims that he has solved a unified theory of gravity and nuclear fusion.
I'm just going to say, does it matter if he's unstable if he hasn't committed a crime? That's a really ridiculous argument, and he certainly didn't look unstable there in his polite interaction with everyone. But would that matter? It would not.
Alongside exposing government corruption. And yes, to the average person, that sounds completely out there. But while it is easy for the internet to just slap a label on someone and call them crazy, I refuse to do that, because I know exactly what it feels like to sit on his side of the glass. During the pandemic, I lost my job. Yes, part of it was my medical choices, but the real reason given to me was my mental health. Now, back then, I was telling people that we were headed towards a world of digital IDs, universal basic income, and massive economic shifts and poverty. My bosses pulled me in. Basically, I was deemed unstable, and I still have the text messages. And this just isn't about me.
There you go. Unstable for being able to foresee what's coming.
We see a pattern where certain topics trigger immediate censorship and massive overreach, just like we did during COVID with people losing their livelihoods. And unfortunately, even in the family court system, where people were losing access to their children because they were deemed mentally unstable because they were not buying into the government approved narratives. After I lost my job, I went completely silent on social media for years. And during those years, away from everything, the self-doubt took such a toll that I actually started to believe that everybody was right, that I was crazy. I convinced myself that all the research and reading that I did back then must have been a fabrication. Then I got that text from my friend and my sister saying, "Oh my goodness, you were right. Everything you warned us about back then is now coming to light." It wasn't a happy moment for me. It was heartbreaking, because looking back, it's just sad that the system chose to throw me away instead of trying to understand me. But here's the difference between me and Nick. What he is doing out there, trying to expose what he sees or what he's researched, isn't truly any different than what I'm doing here on social media. Just this time around, I have support. I have friends who will look at my research and they'll be honest. They'll say, I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I don't know if I believe that. We have good discourse. We challenge each other, but our value is still alive. This guy, well, it appears to me that he obviously obviously has no one. My inbox has been flooded with messages, some tearing him down, calling him a narcissist, but others have been alarming. I received a message from a 20-year veteran psychiatric nurse who handles these exact apprehensions. And they told me that they have witnessed people stripped of due process and targeted simply for speaking out against bad practices. This nurse warned me that the system will likely try and strip him of his right to counsel, take away his ability to record, and threaten him with sedation just for asking for a lawyer. When you are entirely isolated, fighting for what you believe in, and everyone around you treats you like this, it can drive you to the edge. I see a man completely alone, desperate for just one person to actually listen. I will be the first person to admit that I don't know the full story here. None of us do. The internet is only getting half of the picture right now. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I am glad that we're getting his half of the story first. Because usually it's the approved narrative that gets pushed out early to get ahead of it, or they completely bury it and we never hear these things are actually happening. For once, we are hearing directly from the person sitting inside of the room, and he's not the only one. We live in a world where the line between foresight and instability is razor thin. Nicholas is navigating a profound crisis right now. But before we just dismiss people like him as insane on the internet, we need to start asking ourselves, are we labeling people because they're crazy? Or are we labeling them because we are too uncomfortable to listen? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, well said. We'll see if I can use that with the music. But this is absolutely disgusting, absolutely sickening. We need to pray for him and pray for that we don't have this coming our way, because this is not far away in America, unfortunately, I hate to say. Now, as believers, we know that we will be persecuted in Christ's name, and we can rejoice in the hope that we have in the future glory with Jesus Christ. We certainly should be fighting against it as well, praying and doing everything we can to keep it from coming, and for protecting and loving our neighbor. Go ahead and hit the like button that helps push this out. Hit subscribe if you like content like this. Down there in the pinned comment, I've got a link to the channel trailer. You can find out more about this channel. God bless you. I'll see you next time.